Hey, what's up, guys? This is Johnny, and welcome to episode 23 of the Travel Like a Boss podcast. We're out here in Saigon, Vietnam with Anand Vantoai. What's up, buddy?
Hanging, dude. How are you?
Yeah, good. So, I just arrived in Vietnam a few days ago. How long have you been out here?
Just a little bit before you, maybe 8 or 9 days total now.
I mean, I'm excited to talk about this country. Both, it's good, pros and cons, ups and downs. But you just got back. Well, actually, how long ago were you in Chile?
I was in Chile from February through the end of October last year.
All right, and you basically launched your business while you're out there.
We'd actually launched before getting into the program, but during that 7 months, we grew from early traction to real traction with a real solid foundation.
Okay, awesome. And I didn't know this until today, and this is why I'm so excited to pick your brain about it, is you basically with Startup Chile, is it a government program?
It's a government-run program run by the government of Chile, yeah.
Okay, and you get $40,000 to start a business.
It's a $40,000 grant, yeah.
And you just have to be in Chile?
You have to be in Chile for 6 months. You have to do some administrative paperwork that the program needs you for.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I mean, you basically get paid to travel and live and grow your business.
Absolutely, and engage with an awesome community of entrepreneurs. There's 100 teams that go for every 6-month generation, so you're interacting with and hanging out with people from all over the world, and it's a lot of fun.
Dude, so what does the government of Chile get out of this?
They want to put Chile and put Santiago on the map in terms of the global entrepreneurship and technology community. They want to bring young entrepreneurs from all over the world to Chile to experience the country, and it works. I mean, Chile's got a special place in my heart and the hearts of hundreds or thousands of other entrepreneurs from all over the world now. So if it comes time to expanding business into Latin America, for a whole generation of entrepreneurs that have been through the program now, Chile is the first place that's on people's minds. So,
well, if anything, I mean, to be honest, I've never really heard about Chile. I assume it's in South America.
Yes.
But I know nothing about it. And if it wasn't for you going there for Startup Chile, I never would have heard about it or even considered it a hub for entrepreneurs or business.
Yeah, there you go. It absolutely works in its goal of putting Chile on the map, bringing it into the global conversation that's happening right now in technology and entrepreneurship. And then if you think about how the money is actually spent, if you get $40,000 for a team of 2 or 3, half or more of that money is going straight back into the Chilean economy. Mm-hmm. If it's rent, if it's food, whatever it is. So you can think of it as a stimulus program.
Yeah.
Money is being spent in the economy, just passing through entrepreneurs from all over the world. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. So I guess, what is the lifestyle like in Chile?
Chilean lifestyle and the lifestyle that we experienced there's a disparity there, obviously. What we experienced, the closest thing I can relate it to is college or summer camp. It's a lot of, it's got that social element that's so much fun. People are all working on different projects, and you have a co-working space that everybody has free access to, so there's a great community around that.
Okay, so it's sponsored by Startup Chile, and you get access to this co-working space, so it encourages all the different groups to be out there?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So you don't have to go there. You have the freedom and liberty to do whatever you want to do, work from wherever you want to work.
But you might as well. If everyone else is there, you get network, but also you have a free place to go.
Absolutely. I mean, for guys like us, where co-working is our thing, it's an amazing space to have, and it was beautiful, and the internet was great there.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Were there a lot of people there that weren't part of Startup Chile?
Yes, there is a entrepreneurship ecosystem in Chile that's growing. We went to a couple hackathons that were just massive turnouts. All the university programs out there have entrepreneurs and startup programs in them as well. So there is actually a lot. Chileans actually have one of the strongest Latin American economies too. So in general, they're just really, if not just like technology entrepreneurship, but business in general, there's a really strong economy for young people to participate in. So
it seems like that's the case here in Saigon too. I didn't expect that at all, but one of my favorite things about being here so Saigon is Ho Chi Minh City, which I actually didn't know. I thought it was a different city altogether.
Saigon sounds a little bit more exotic, right, than Ho Chi Minh City.
Yeah, and I guess it's just the old name for the old capital, right?
It is. It was the southern capital, and then after the either fall or liberation, depending on your perspective, they changed the name to Ho Chi Minh City.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But people still just could refer to it as Saigon?
Yeah, depending on who you talk to, it's definitely a more beautiful name, so I like to use that name. But Ho Chi Minh City is legally what it's called now.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Well, either way, by whatever name, it's a cool place.
That's a lot of fun.
The networking scene, the internet marketing, the entrepreneur scene out here is ridiculously good.
It's really good.
Man, I thought I was in paradise in Chiang Mai. Out here, the first day I hated it. I was like, why am I here?
Really?
Yeah, I had a really bad experience off the plane. Everybody's trying to rip you off.
There's hustlers, that's for sure.
Yeah. It was busy. I mean, people, people driving on sidewalks, trying to run you down. Like,
Yeah.
It was intense. But as soon as I kind of got in the groove of things, met up with all the different entrepreneurs out here, and I realized, I was like, man, this community is very similar to the community I had in Chiang Mai, but we're in a bigger city with even more restaurants, more cafes, more things to do. And so far, I would say I'm really happy being here, number one, but also just having it's still up in the air. I mean, as you guys follow along on my blog, it's johnnyfd.com, or just listen to future podcast episodes, I'm going to be kind of making up my mind which place I like better. But so far, I'm very impressed with Saigon.
Yeah.
Especially because all the different, meetups that we've been to, there's actually Vietnamese people here.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely the locals that participate in the entrepreneurship community, so it's great to see.
Well, this morning we had, was it Startup Scale, which is nicknamed now the Bulletproof Coffee meetup.
Yeah, Wednesday mornings.
Yeah, and what was the name of the host?
Till Carlos.
But it was his girlfriend. It was a Vietnamese girl that was the one that organized it, right?
Her name is Young.
Young. I'm pretty well. Either way, there's actual Vietnamese entrepreneurs out here.
Yeah.
Which is awesome, I think. In Chiang Mai, I didn't really meet any local Thai entrepreneurs. I mean, there are some, but they're very separate. They don't kind of integrate. They don't hang out, with the Western entrepreneurs.
So you're mostly hanging out with like the DC crowd out there.
Yeah, like 100%. You're hanging out with Westerners. I mean,
Sure.
Not everybody's part of the DC. For those who don't know what we're talking about, it's like a private mastermind group founded by Dan and Ian of the Tropical MBA, which is a great program. And it was probably the single reason why I was able to come out here to Saigon and instantly have a group of friends. So that I was cool about.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
You just immediately plug in with people that are like-minded. Everybody's working on different, unique projects, but they're all really interesting, and you can always learn something from anybody. And there's a whole spectrum. We were talking about this earlier. Of you've got the younger guys who are just starting out. You've got the older guys who are further along the path and just crushing it. And through the community, you can literally just come in, plug right in, and be connected with a great group of friends.
Yeah, that's definitely dope. And I mean, there's a lot of people who I hang out with who aren't part of the DC, and it's kind of nice to have a separation of friends as well.
Yes.
Because I mean, it's basically a fraternity for entrepreneurs.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And there's no hazing, which is nice.
Yeah, none of that. So it's much smoother entry process.
Yeah, but so the cool thing is, I showed up, and first couple of days was just moving around, trying to find a place to live, trying to get settled in. And the last couple of days, I joined, basically it's like a group message on GroupMe.
Yeah.
And every day I wake up, I'm like, okay, where are we going to work out today? Because unlike Chiang Mai, where everybody just shows up at the co-working spot every day at, whatever time they wake up, here it seems like people go to a different coffee shop every day.
Because you can.
It's because there's that many of them.
Yeah. Variety's the spice of life. I mean, we've been to 3 coffee shops today already.
That's true?
Yeah.
Oh,
This is our third. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this one is called... What was it?
M2C.
M2C.
I don't know what that stands for.
It's like modern
meets culture.
Okay, so it's
modern meets culture.
kind of a cheesy name, but beautiful place.
It's dramatic. It feels like it's something from like a World War II movie set, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to see what it looks like, come on the show notes.
On the blog,
yeah, I'll put some up. Episode 23 of the show notes, and you can take a look at this. You can see what's going on here in Vietnam. I'm putting up tons of photos of, especially the food we've been eating.
So good.
Man.
How about that lunch we just had?
That was incredible.
Yeah.
I think I've had something similar to that in the U.S., but not even close.
Yeah. I like it when they just lay out all the food that's available, and you can just point.
What did we eat today? I actually don't know.
Just lots of meat and a bunch of vegetables. And
I'm sure there's a Vietnamese name for it.
we'll just call it primal. We ate primal.
Okay. So we'll have a photo of exactly what we ate, and you guys probably know better than us. Even though you actually are ancestrally Vietnamese.
I am. I'm a first generation Vietnamese American, which goes into the connection that I felt here. The elements of travel, culture, entrepreneurship, and then being Vietnamese make Saigon an amazing place to work from, an amazing place to play, and an amazing place to do business.
Yeah,
so.
If I was you, I would definitely make my home base here, my roots here.
Yeah, a lot of us have the luxury of being able to think of our ideal lifestyles and then shape it. And my ideal lifestyle is to have one foot in the U.S. and one foot in Vietnam. I can't imagine a situation in my life where Vietnam wouldn't have a part in my life. I'm not here just short term. I definitely want to make this a long term, piece of my lifestyle. So it's
and there seems like there's no reason not to.
Oh, it's an amazing place, and you hear a lot of the entrepreneurs here in the community talk about it because they can see it on the ground. But there's an energy here. There's an excitement. There's a lot of potential, which is tough. As a young guy going into, I was living in New York City before moving to South America, and in New York City, it's set in its ways, and it's hard to go in as a young entrepreneur and kind of, it's too expensive for one, and everybody's too busy. So you can come to a place like Saigon and exercise at your own pace, work at your own pace, and play at your own pace, and really just create your own story here.
But at the same time, there's it's basically New York with scooters.
New York with scooters and affordable.
The
The scooters are a lot of fun. They're so much fun.
I don't know. They're driving on the sidewalk as you're trying to walk, and you're like, what is going on?
It's mayhem.
And I wanted to get mad at it because, I'm just walking on the sidewalk, and there's scooters driving the wrong direction, number one, on the freaking, pedestrian sidewalk, going straight at you, and they look at you like you're crazy for walking. And they're like, what are you doing? Get the F out of my way. And I'm like, I just want to push them off their bikes.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, you know what? This is their culture, and they probably look at me like, why are you not on a scooter?
Why are you walking in my way?
Why are you walking my way? This is just the way we always do things.
Yeah.
So I realized, I was like, you know what? I just part of the culture. I mean, I can't get mad at that. I mean, it's not even my culture.
That's good. It sounds like you learned something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it keeps you on your toes, which is fun.
Oh man, it is like a Frogger. If anyone's ever played that game.
Yeah, it's like Frogger.
Just trying to walk around here. I mean, the nice thing is I'm living pretty close to city center. If you guys ever want to move out to Saigon, I recommend living near. There was a cathedral. What's it called?
Cathedral. Notre Dame Cathedral.
Notre Dame Cathedral. Just live within a mile radius of that. That's where it's called District 1. This is where all the cool stuff is, where all the entrepreneurs hang out, where all the great cafes we hang out are at.
It's a clean part of town. It's nice.
Yeah, and it's it's outside of the backpackers ghetto, so there's no tourist. I mean, there's not that many tourists, but also there's not everything that comes with that tourism.
The hustle, the grind, the grifters,
Yeah, exactly. So you don't get people trying to sell you crap all the time. It reminds me of the Neiman Himen area of Chiang Mai, which is basically outside of the main backpacker area where the cool local university students and entrepreneurs hang out.
Yeah.
So I would say, so the Notre Dame, or Notre Dame, I don't know, the
Notre Dame Cathedral.
Notre Dame Cathedral is the Neiman Himen area of Saigon.
And you just got an apartment recently, didn't you?
Yeah.
Was it yesterday?
Just yesterday, I moved in. I've been looking for the last few days. I love it, man. It's a little bit more expensive than Chiang Mai for what you get. So basically, in Chiang Mai, if you want a really basic room, you want a bootstrap, you have, a budget of $600 a month. You can get a $150 a month apartment, eat, $1 Thai meals, and, I mean, you could live off of $600 a month.
How's the food out there? Is it good too?
Really good food, man. Really, really good food. Yeah. Thai food is some of my favorite in the world.
If I had to lob one criticism about Santiago and Chile, it's that it's well known that the food culture there is not what you imagine when you think of the South American exotic food culture. It's actually pretty bland and pretty normal.
It's crazy because I lived in Honduras for a while.
Really?
A few years ago. Thinking, because I was in Thailand and I was missing Mexican food, so in my mind I'm like, oh, Honduras is right next to Mexico.
They speak Spanish. They have that tacos.
Well, I mean, I actually looked it up. I was like, okay, they got tortillas, they got beans, and they got chicken. So I'm assuming they can make a taco.
Put that together,
right? But the food in Honduras is terrible compared to Mexico.
Yeah.
It's bland and there's no flavor. It's kind of just it's just not good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, think about it. Filipino food is not good compared to Thailand, and it's right next door.
Yeah.
Or Thai. I mean, yeah. I mean, I feel bad. I mean, but that's just, and I'm sure, growing up, living in the Philippines, you probably love the food. But as I'm saying, for more of like a Western palate,
Sure.
Filipino food is not good.
Yeah.
Food in Honduras is not good. But luckily, food in Vietnam is very good.
It's amazing.
Better than I expected.
It is amazing here, and that was one of the things I knew going in is you don't hear as much about, depending on where you're from or where you live. Like in the United States, you don't hear that much about Vietnamese food, but being Vietnamese American, like I knew to expect an amazing cuisine here. That's just fresh ingredients, really good food, and some of these, you read about some of these shops or restaurants, they get new ingredients delivered 2 to 3 times a day. So
yeah,
they're
that's crazy.
Definitely keeping it fresh, and you can get all the meats and veggies you want. So,
and good thing is it's not hard to eat paleo out here.
Yeah, it's not too hard.
So I haven't had any bread or any noodles or any rice since I've been here, and it's been fine. It's always going to be a little bit harder to ask for certain things.
Yeah.
The saving grace is Google Translate app.
Yeah.
I got a SIM card out here for like, I don't know, it's like it was like free, man.
$10, yeah.
I think it was $15 total, and I got a SIM card, a month of unlimited data, and like more minutes than I can probably use. And I just walked into a shop, got it done. Here's the travel hack. They'll ask you how long you're staying for. If you say you're here for more than a month, they require your passport. If you say you're here for less than a month, they don't need anything.
Really? And it's the same thing?
I think it's the same thing. I have no idea why.
No kidding.
Yeah, and we actually didn't know that at the time. Anton actually thought it was the opposite, because when he went in, they asked for his passport. He didn't have it on him, so he said, "I'm here for 3 months," and they wanted his passport because of X, for whatever reason. But he kind of, he was like, he assumed it was because he was here for too short of a time.
How long is he here for?
He's here for 3 months.
Okay.
So I think he kind of went back and forth. Eventually he got the SIM card, but he advised me, he's like, yeah, I think you have to be here for a long time to get a SIM card. So I went in saying I'm going to be here for 6 months, and that's when they said, oh, well, I need to see your visa that you're allowed to stay here for 6 months.
And then did you change it? You're like, actually, I'm only going to be here for 4 weeks.
Yeah, I was like, no, I'm not going to be here for 6 months in Vietnam. I thought you meant Asia. I'm going to Thailand next week.
And then they're just here.
Free. They just gave it to me.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi, the 3G speeds here are very fast. It's great.
It's good.
I get service everywhere. Google Translate app has saved my butt, especially trying to eat paleo. I've been ordering paleo pho. Which is pho with no pho.
Just meat and some veggies on the plate.
Yeah, and I was trying to explain, what I wanted, and it was really hard. So I just used Google Translate app, and I put, I think I put beef, vegetables, soup. And it showed it to him, and he's like, okay. And he gave me exactly what I wanted.
Was it enough meat? Because sometimes in the bowls of pho, there's not much meat, and it's just all noodles.
Well, what I did the next time was I did the same, and I put double meat.
Yeah.
/
You're a big guy. You got
double vegetables / like lots of soup.
Huh.
And I got it, but I realized, it's probably just easier just to order it, get it, eat it, and then order another one.
Yeah.
It ends up being the same price anyways. You're not confusing anybody.
Yeah.
And it comes out hot.
So I'll teach you a trick.
Okay.
The word more or much
or
a lot is the same word. It's new. Like neo or new.
Okay.
New. Bao new is how much, but if you want to you point at like your bowl full, and you just say new.
New, please.
It's like more. New.
Most people actually speak pretty decent English out here.
You can definitely get by without speaking Vietnamese here. Depending on what you want to do. Like some people come out here, like I'm here partly to learn Vietnamase. That's a big reason I did.
If I was you and that was part of my culture, I would learn it.
Absolutely.
Sure. Or if you guys want to date local Vietnamese girls, maybe that might be a good idea to learn as well.
It definitely helps. It's not a necessity, but it doesn't hurt. That's for sure. How about you're Taiwanese?
Yep. So my parents from Taiwan. I speak Mandarin fluently.
You do.
I've been to Taiwan a bunch. I love the food out there.
How do you feel about living there?
I wouldn't live there.
You wouldn't. What's it like?
It's awesome, actually.
Yeah.
I think I don't know why I don't want to live there. I think there's nothing wrong with it. I think to me, it's too familiar.
It's not exotic.
It's not exotic. I want something different.
So Chiang Mai, Saigon, here you are.
Here we go, man. And who knows where we're going to go next. I mean, But the single thing I like the most, man, is just having the freedom to be able to do this. I mean,
Absolutely.
It almost seems insane. We were joking about this earlier, that the two things that are super common within our circle of friends is picking up and moving to Vietnam on a whim and having a podcast.
Podcast, yeah, it's part of the playbook out here. So I do a show as well.
Yeah. What was it? It's Crew Lab, right?
It's Crew Lab. It's a music business and technology show. It's at crewlab.net. Check it out.
Yeah, so definitely check that one out. And it's cool. I mean, like, I would say a lot of the people out here have a successful podcast, have a successful online business where they're generating money and making money. And on all different things as well, which is awesome. And that kind of allows everyone to help each other out.
Yeah, cross-pollination. You can learn things from, even if you're, for example, our main product is a software as a service. It's a mobile app. But, as far along down that path as we are, we can still learn things from, like, the SEO guy that's just starting out, or like the Pinterest marketing guy. One of our friends is doing a Pinterest marketing course tonight. You can learn things from the huge spectrum of entrepreneurs that are out here, which is really fun.
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask you more about your SaaS business. So
Sure.
I recently heard a lot more and more about software as a service, and it almost seems like it's the next like fad. But some people make it sound too simple. Like, I think there's a course out there. I don't remember the name of it now, but it's basically he teaches you how to call up businesses and ask them what they need.
It's called The Foundation by Dane Maxwell.
And I heard his interview on one of the I don't remember.
Mixergy or something. He did a Mixergy
No,
interview.
it was some
He does a
interview.
lot.
Yeah, I'm sure he does a lot. And he made it sound so simple that I was like, you know what? Forget e-commerce. let me go start a SaaS business. And then I thought about it logically, and it's not easy, man. It is not easy.
Well, simple and easy are not on the same spectrum. So simplicity doesn't mean easy. It actually is simple. The economics of software as a service, someone pays you monthly and you deliver software to them, or you deliver whatever it is. You can do razors as a service is a common one. It's a simple model that is extremely hard to perfect. So if you look at, an analogy is like Apple products. They're simple in their essence, but they're extremely hard to make into a reality. So
like you guys try to make the new MacBook Air.
Exactly. It's just...
But I guess it is a simple design.
Exactly.
Simple concept.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
You can wrap your head around it if you look at it from the outside, but like to think about what goes into it, it does end up being... So when Dane Maxwell... and to Dane's credit, people come out of the foundation with real product businesses up and running. So there is something to it. But yeah, software as a service, quote unquote new. It's some of the, 10 years now, maybe some of the older software as a service businesses, but it's a beautiful business model. People pay you monthly, you deliver them the software, you have huge profit margins. And if you break down the numbers behind someone paying you monthly, so say if you average $50 a month per customer, and say you have a huge goal of you want to make a 7-figure business, that's a decent goal for any independent entrepreneur, I think.
Yeah.
If your customers are paying you $50 a month, it only takes 1,667 customers to be a 7-figure revenue business.
I like how you have that math down. Is that because that's what you're aiming for?
Yeah. I'm Asian, so it's in my blood. No, this was actually broken down by a presentation that I saw. A guy named David Hannemeyer Hansen. He's a partner at 37 Signals, and he gave this presentation to. You can search for on YouTube, called DHH Startup School. And I watched this when I was working a job in New York City doing ad sales, and when he broke it down like that, to make a 7-figure business, $50 a month per customer, 1,600 customers, what about if you want to just make a 6-figure business? We're going to reach 6 figures when we hit 167 customers paying us $50 a month. All of a sudden, you don't have to invent the next Snapchat or Flappy Bird or Facebook, whatever it is. You can make a small product that serves 170 or 1,700 customers and live location independent, wealthy lifestyles just of your own design. So software as a service, the business model, the economics, is simple. It can be tricky to get the product right, but if you do, it's an amazing place to be as an entrepreneur.
Okay. So according to the Foundation's interview that I listened to, the basics of it is find a pain point of customers who might need a software as a service. So basically, if you have a friend who's a realtor, or if you have a friend who works at owns a valet company, you ask them, what are your biggest waste of time every day? What are some things that you wish existed? And you basically try to find out first what their pain is. Second, what is a software that they wish was out there that would save them time? And there's tons of things like that, right?
That they would pay monthly for.
Yeah, and then you would ask, is this something that you would pay for? And the way that they phrased it said, if you can get enough interest and get people to basically pre-commit, you can use that money to build the software exactly to their to what they want, and you already know, hey, if it works, if these guys are willing to pay for it, other people in the same industry would be willing to pay for it. So it sounds, amazingly simple, especially because he says outsource all of your programming, so you don't even have to know how to program. So it makes it sound so simple. But I think the problem with that is I've had experiences after reading the 4-Hour Work Week trying to get a programmer in India to do something that in my mind seemed really simple, and it came out so terrible that luckily I was smart enough to cut my losses. I think I had paid him $750 for the first phase retainer, and I looked at the site and I was like, I realized how complicated it would be, and I just pulled the plug and said, okay, you know what, keep the money, I'm done. I'm not investing anymore.
Cut the loss. Yeah. Software. I'd say this as a software entrepreneur, but if you're not a developer or you're not technical, and you don't have a developer as a co-founder that you can trust and that you have a working relationship with, there are, I think, better ways to start as an entrepreneur. There's plenty of ways. Our community is full of them, of people that are entrepreneurs not in software.
So many.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I really do believe that having a co-founder that does all the technical stuff is perfect, because
it's perfect.
I actually have met a lot of programmers and people who can make great apps, great programs, and they know nothing about sales, and they don't want to know anything about sales.
Yeah.
They don't want to have to talk to customers. They don't want to have to deal with the front end stuff. They just want to do their back end stuff. So those are people who are perfect to partner up with, because it's a win-win for both situations.
It's interesting. There are people that can do both, but if you think about the skill sets that go into a great programmer, is a very analytical, very mathematical mind, very calculated, very formulaic. And then if you think about what goes into sales, someone's very extroverted, very personable, very like a kind of human intuition. It's like IQ versus EQ, emotional intelligence. You can definitely have both in some people, but for the most part, I think more often you find people that have strengths towards one end or the other. So to work together in that, it's like yin and yang. It works out really well.
Yeah, so I think it's a great model. But as you were saying, there's easier ways to get started.
Definitely.
Online. So before you did SAS, the software as a service business, did you dabble into anything else online?
Yeah, I ran an online magazine for jam bands and electronic music called headstash.com. We did like interviews and features on the music scene, and we sold ads, and we did decently with that. But it turns out that online publications are tough business to be in. If your primary revenue is advertising, then if you're not in like a money market, it can be tough to monetize at a level that's like really sustaining you. Especially we were living in New York City at the time, so forget about it, kind of. But we learned a lot of lessons from that, and one of the things we learned is on our next project, we wanted to think about monetization. We want to think about money up front, because we want this project to fund a comfortable lifestyle. I think that's a huge aspect. So being comfortable with that financial motivation, that financial
I like
motivation.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think the biggest difference between the entrepreneurs I meet while traveling and the ones that I meet back in San Francisco or New York, and I think I might have mentioned this in one of the episodes before, is a lot of the people that take these startup grants, all they're really trying to do is show that they're doing enough work to get another grant.
Yeah, that's true.
Versus companies that are kind of bootstrapping, or people who are traveling entrepreneurs, they're like, okay, how can I start making profit next month?
Yeah,
and I think that's a much better philosophy for, at least for the lifestyle that I want to live. Because you really don't need to spend that much out here. So my apartment out here is $250 a month.
Isn't that great?
And it's nice, dude. It's within walking distance to everything. As you were saying earlier, right downstairs is so much good food.
It's really good food in that area.
It's a street called 18A, which doesn't mean anything unless you're actually here. It probably doesn't mean anything to the locals.
Even if you're here, like the first few days I kept hearing about 18A, I'm like, what? Is this one apartment building? But it's like an alley. 18 is an address. And then they give you that letter. That means it's like, instead of one building, it's like you have 18A, like
something, I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Numbers, yeah.
I'm actually in 18B, so I'm in even a smaller alley next to it.
Ah, the fringe, the frontier.
But it's, it's literally a 2-second walk to the first full restaurant.
Yeah.
Opposite, so we call that Prison Pho.
Prison Pho.
And everyone here actually knows what we're talking about, because when you're sitting inside of it, it's outdoor. It's like an outdoor pho restaurant, little cart.
Feels like a prison yard.
And because it has like barbed wire, this like high like fence thing, food's good.
Really
and good. Right opposite that, I call that Pho Paradise. It's just it's the yellow one.
Yeah, it looks like glossy and clean. Prison Pho and Pho Paradise.
Yeah. And
you get the whole spectrum here in Saigon.
Because all the restaurants are called pho, something, and because I can't read or speak Vietnamese, we just give everything nicknames. But it's been incredible. And there's a smoothie lady, there's one on that street that everyone goes to, Juice. I think they're called Juicy.
They deliver them. Do they deliver?
I don't know. I mean, it's like I could throw my shoe at it if I ever got mad. But they have 2 fruits that they don't have in Thailand. So I've been drinking the crap out of these smoothies. The first is avocado. Not that an avocado smoothie without milk or sugar tastes that great. It just tastes okay. It just tastes like drinking a cold kind of avocado.
Maybe you can get some tortilla chips in there. It'll really...
Yeah, but I figure, after I have my pho, I want to add some fat to my diet. Eating this bulletproof version of paleo. So I'm trying to get as much fat in as possible.
Yeah.
And having a avocado shake with just avocado water and ice is perfect.
All right.
And the other thing I've been drinking is soursop juice.
Soursop. What's that?
It's like this weird fruit. It looks like a custard apple, but it's huge.
I think
it's really big, and it cures cancer.
So you don't have cancer?
Well, I never had it in the first place.
Well, there you go.
But it's one of those fruits that you hear about all the time, like acai berry or whatever the next trend is. But I actually looked it up, and like on Snopes, Snopes like they debunk everything, right? They debunk everything, and this is one thing that they actually didn't debunk. They're like, be cautious about it. It's not a miracle, but we can't find any reason why it doesn't work. So I drink it mainly for the taste. I'm sure there's some health benefit to it.
So myth not busted. There might be some properties there that you
might. Yeah, it might cure cancer, which is cool.
Well, you know what? I don't know if it cures cancer, but it certainly adds to the exotic element of Saigon. But we just enjoyed some coconuts, fresh from the coconut. So you can walk around here, and the street vendors you'll just see piles of coconuts, and you just point, you say how many you want, and they'll cut open the top, and you can drink coconut juice right from the coconut. It's delicious.
How much is a coconut supposed to be out here? Because I've been paying it feels like I gotta negotiate every time I buy one.
You can get them for like $1 each or less.
Okay.
Now it depends on where you are. So we just got them from Bintan Market, which is near the backpacker district, and it's a very common place for all the travelers. You have all like the vendors there with their knockoff handbags and clothing and everything. And we went and ate there. There you're gonna have tourist prices. Whereas if you go out further into, say, like I live in District 5 right now, staying with a family friend. Out there you'll find the same things for maybe 3/4 or half the price, just because that's the marketplace. It's not that it's an actual ripoff. It's just that it's where supply meets demand. So,
but at the same time, I feel like you can negotiate even with.
Sure.
Like you're almost expected to negotiate.
Oh, sure.
And I'm like, dude, there's a coconut lady right outside of my gym that I go to, and she tried to. I forgot what she was asking for. I think she started at 40,000 dong, which is $2. Which is $2.
Yeah.
Which in the U.S. that would be fine for coconut, but I knew that it should be about half of that because I had just gotten one somewhere else, and I had to negotiate with her, and she was finally like, okay, give me 20, and then the next day. I'm like, okay, I have a coconut. She's like, okay, 50,000. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
I just came to you.
Yeah.
So that was one thing I actually didn't like about Vietnam. My first experience was showing up at immigration, middle of the night after 12 hours of travel, exhausted, and I flew in. I had a visa. e-visa. So I applied for it online, filled out everything, thinking, okay, you know what? I'm happy to pay the money online and not have to deal with this, not have to go to consulate. I walk through, get off the plane, and I'm like, oh, wow, there's no line.
No hassle.
In immigration.
No paperwork. Did you do any paperwork?
It looks so easy. However, then I saw a mess of people on the floor that had been camped out for an hour, and I was like, crap, I have to go through that.
So you waited for an hour?
So it turns out that the reason why the immigration line had no people is because everybody was waiting for their e-visa on arrival, which is supposed to be a really quick process.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, and I'm sure this happens more often than not, is you go in and there's this queue that there's not really a clear line for. People kind of just like cutting up front, and you're waiting in this for half an hour to hand in your paperwork, and then you sit around for them to call your name to give you back your passport.
So you did this?
Yeah. Did you not have to go through this?
I was shocked. I didn't. We traveled all around South America after Startup Chile last year for 6 weeks, and every border that we crossed, we would have to do exit paperwork and entrance paperwork into the new country. And here, there was no paperwork. I literally, they checked my visa, they checked my passport, and then I just walked through.
How'd you get your visa?
I actually have a visa exemption, but nobody on my plane, like, I asked for the paperwork. I asked, because usually when you're on an international flight, they'll go up and down the alley, and they'll give you the paperwork that you have to fill out on arrival, before arrival. Nobody on our flight got that. No Americans got it, so I don't know. I didn't have to do any paperwork coming from the United States to come into Vietnam.
So why do you have a visa exemption?
My family actually has ties with the Vietnamese embassy in D.C., so it was just kind of like a family.
Okay, but I'm sure you had something in your passport saying that, right?
Yes, but I asked the flight attendant for the paperwork. She doesn't know that I have a visa or a visa exemption, and she said no, there's no paperwork. So the people on my flight didn't have to do. I don't know. Maybe it's because you came from Chiang Mai versus the United States. I don't know.
I don't know, man. Because I was there. I was sitting out there with people from all over the world.
But the flight was from Chiang Mai.
But the flight, no. You know what? Yeah. So who knows? I mean, but either way, man. Here's what happened. All right. Show up. Waste another hour. But not even that. They required another $45. Which isn't that big of a deal when you think about it, because maybe that's what it costs for me to get a Thai visa. Anyways, actually, no. A Thai visa for 30 days is free. You just show up, walk through. You don't need anything. But if I wanted a 3-month visa, I would have to pay and go through the process.
Yeah.
But here's the funny thing: is they would only accept U.S. dollars, and
in Vietnam,
they would not accept
the government
Vietnamese money. Yes, the government. And there's people that are coming from all over the world. Not everybody has U.S. dollars. So, you know what? If I have to, I'll change the money, right?
Yeah.
The money changer was closed.
Ouch.
Because, it was like 9 o'clock at night, so maybe that's why, but it's closed. So then there's these 2 German girls who were on the same flight as me, and they just could not get any U.S. dollars. So they had, like, euros, and they had Vietnamese money because they went to the ATM, which gave them Vietnamese dollars. And they wouldn't take it. And they're like, well, no, you have to go get U.S. money. And they're like, how? Like, where the heck do you want me to get U.S. dollars?
Do you know what they ended up doing?
They ended up changing money through the shadiest person possible. No, I was kidding. No, actually, I happen to have...
the shady?
I happen to have $200 U.S. dollars on me, just as like a backup. And it wasn't it wasn't even a preparation. I just happened to have it. And luckily... I had enough to give them in exchange for Vietnamese money, which I needed anyways.
Good. Oh, so you're the knight in shining armor there.
Yeah, so it worked out. But then, I get on and I take some money out. I think I exchanged some Thai baht into Vietnamese dong. First off, the money all looks the same, man.
The baht and the dong?
No, all the dong. All the Vietnamese money looks exactly the same.
Well, there's 2 different textures, One's more plastic and one's actually paper. Yeah.
Okay.
The smaller bills are like paper, and the newer bills are the higher value ones are kind of, they have this plasticky texture.
Okay. So you guys listen to that. Fuel for that. Second, bring a calculator with you and know the exchange rate, because I actually messed up. It was my fault. I didn't plan. I didn't know what the exchange rate was. All I knew was I had a stack of cash. And all I knew was...
There's a lot of zeros.
It was a lot of zeros. I mean, like...
We're millionaires, dude. Pound.
How much is a million Vietnamese dong worth?
A million... So 100,000 is $5. So a million is $50.
Okay.
And it's really easy if you break it down like that. Remember, every 100,000 is $5. You can. It's actually the exchange rate's actually like 21,000 to 1, but you just do the math and do 20,000 to 1 is how most people go.
So now that I figured out, what I do is I actually physically use my thumb, cover up 4 zeros, and divide it by 2.
There you go.
And it works.
Yeah.
I wish I knew that on the first day, because it was like, I'm getting to my hotel at like 10 o'clock at night. I'm exhausted, and the cab driver has the lights off, so I can't even see how much money I'm giving him. And I look at the meter, and I pay the meter. And I was like, okay, you know what? In most countries, as long as they use a meter, you're fine.
Yeah.
If you don't use the meter, that's when you get ripped off. So I gave him whatever's on the meter, which was 978,000 dong.
Like $50.
And it turns out it should have been $5. And I think what he did was he actually added an extra zero to it. Because I was watching the meter go up, so I was like, okay, it's legit. He's not adding more, because the common scams are either they don't use the meter at all, or after you get there, they like jump the meter price up by another X amount. So I was so pissed, man. I was fuming. I was like, this country sucks. I hate, I'm getting ripped off. This would never happen, somewhere else. And then I get to the hotel. I'm exhausted. I want to go to sleep. I try to check in, and they say, "Oh, rooms are full." And I was like, "Oh, I have a reservation." And they're like, "Okay." They look at it, and they're like, "Nope, sorry, rooms are full." And I'm like, "No, but I paid already."
You had prepaid?
I prepaid on Agoda, but luckily they had booked me another room at another hotel down the street. Pain in the butt. I had to move around a bunch of times. But it was fine. It wasn't a big deal. Woke up the next day, and what actually really changed my mood was I woke up and I had one email. So first I didn't have to deal with, a bunch of work or anything, but the one email was a new sale notification.
Those are good emails.
Yeah, and it wasn't even a big sale. It was like a $500 sale, but I did the calculation on it, and I made $100.
Awesome. For what product?
It's just one of my e-commerce stores I have that's dropship. So I forwarded the email, my manufacturer in the U.S. Sends them the product, and I get the cash for it. And I thought about it. I was like, you know what? I wasted, I basically got ripped off for $50 on a
you had a $50 experience. A Vietnamese experience.
It was. It really was, because after that, I'm so much more careful now with everything, with my phone, my wallet, my laptop. And my money, I'm really counting on the money now. And if anything, that's the lesson. I almost feel like every single person I've met will get ripped off in Vietnam once. So you might as well make it the first day and then learn from it.
I don't know. It's just like any other country. Like most countries that you're going to travel to in South America, for example, there's going to be hustlers, but well, okay. So in your example, when they add the extra zero and you end up with a $50 cab rate, that's I feel like an extreme end of the spectrum. But like little things, for example, when I park my motorbike, it's maybe 4,000 or 5,000 dong, which if you do the math ends up being like either 20 cents or a quarter.
Okay.
Fluctuations. Some of the fluctuations that you get from the hustlers here end up not being that much money anyway. So, maybe for you and I, it's not that big of a deal. For them, it might be, a bigger deal. But ultimately, I don't think it's. Well, how is it in Chiang Mai? I'm sure you have hustlers in Chiang Mai.
You know what? Chiang Mai is very, very good. But Bangkok, you will get hustled.
I can see that.
So Bangkok, if you get off the plane, you will get ripped off in the cab as well. But it's not going to be for 10 times the amount. It's just going to be more. What they do is they won't use the meter. They'll say it's broken, or they just won't turn it on, or whatever. And then they'll give you a big number. Chiang Mai, man, taxis from the airport, set price. It's 150 baht, which is about $5, anywhere you want. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it's legit. The actual normal taxis that are around are 40 baht for anywhere within the city, and then if you want to go outside of the city, it's 100 baht. So it's between $1.50 to $4, depending on where you're going, and it's pretty much set price. Like I used to try to negotiate with taxi drivers all the time, and they would all just be like, "Nope, that's the price," and then I would ask another one, and I realized I was like, you know what? That's actually just the price. Like maybe sometimes it's a little bit more, but you're never gonna pay more than like a couple bucks extra. And usually they actually have a reason for it too. It's like they know there's gonna be a lot of traffic, or they know it's late at night, and they don't want to drive that direction because they can't get a fare back.
Good. It's convenient. It's like a price fixed menu. You know what you're getting into. Yeah.
I love that prefix. Like, I don't like arguing about price. I don't like bargaining.
You just said that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this stupid T-shirt that I kind of wanted to buy for about 2 seconds. It was a Starbucks shirt, but instead of saying Starbucks, it said like Vietnamese coffee, which I'm sipping on right now, and it is awesome.
Yeah.
That's the one thing about the coffee shops here that are the best. Actually, no, two things. One is you can get coconuts everywhere.
Coconuts.
Even at coffee shops. And second is the Vietnamese coffee is so strong. Like, my voice is not sped up in this episode. It just happens to be because I've had like 5 cups of coffee.
Starting with that Bulletproof this morning. So.
Yeah, that was awesome, man. They actually, so the organizer of the Bulletproof Coffee meetup basically went into a local Vietnamese coffee shop and said, can you blend your house coffee with coconut oil and this grass-fed butter, which it comes from New Zealand. It's called Angkor, which they sell here and in Thailand. And the first couple of weeks, she said like she had to like really give them directions and she wrote them down and like really like watched them. And now it's the 5th week of this. It's a weekly startup. It actually has nothing to do with the DC, but it happens that most DC members kind of just flock to it anyways.
I would say it's part of the DC community, like the people that
the community,
founded the
definitely.
DC community. Yeah.
I don't think she is though.
She's the girlfriend of Till, who's a DCer here.
Okay, so that makes sense. Okay, but regardless, they now have Bulletproof Coffee at this coffee shop all the time.
You just go in and you order special coffee.
So you can just walk in. You can just walk in, and now they actually know the term bulletproof.
Yeah.
So you just walk in and say Bulletproof Coffee, and they're like, okay, here you go, and you drink it, and it's awesome. Yeah. So I had 3 cups of that.
So you're going right now.
Oh man, it is wonderful.
Can't stop, won't stop.
But so enough about Vietnam for now. There's going to be more about that in future episodes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
How do people sign up for this $40,000 grant for Chile?
StartupChile.org. They have the 10th generation of applications open now through, I think it's mid-March. And check it out there. It's a really easy process, and you don't have to do any follow-ups or anything. You'll just find out in 4 to 8 weeks if you got in. So startupchile.org.
Nice. What were some of the, how many different companies were out there when you went out?
It fluctuates, and they normally have about 100 per generation, and sometimes I think it goes as low as 80. So if you think about that, and from what I heard, what was it? Either 5,000 or 6,000
like total applicants, or
companies apply. Yeah, is that
and they give you 100?
No, you know what it was? 100, and it was like 1,000, 1,500 companies applied.
Okay.
So for my generation. So if you think about that math, 1 out of 15 companies for $40,000 grant.
That's great, man.
And a South American experience. So it's definitely it takes no time at all to apply. It takes time, but
so what was the actual application process?
You just fill out. They use a company called UNoodle, which is you just fill out these forms and you got to get a referral. You get a referral or two, and you upload like your founders' resumes, and then you fill out a bunch of Q&A about your projects. Yeah. And some people went in with, like us, we had our product on the market, and we had traction, but a lot of people there were just ideas.
Wow.
First-time entrepreneurs, they had left jobs to go to Startup Chile, and a lot of people actually go back to jobs. So it's not people that are like necessarily experienced entrepreneurs, which is good and bad. So you got people learning if you don't know if you're going to be an entrepreneur until you try it. Yeah. Sometimes. So
any tips or tricks for people that are applying for Startup Chile?
I've actually written about this. So there's a guy named Manish Sethi, and he's got a blog called Hack the System. It's called Hack the System. So if you search Hack the System Startup Chile, I have a post called How I Got a $40,000 Grant to Build My Business in Chile.
I'll put a link to that in the show notes.
Cool.
As well as everything else. Also, we have crewlab.net, which is your podcast about
music, business, and tech.
Yeah, good combination. We have simplecrew.com, which is your SaaS product.
It's a mobile photo app for groups, so it's for businesses that use photos for project management.
Okay. So what are some examples of companies that use your product?
Sure. Most of our customers are either real estate teams that are using photos to prospect properties or to track the progress of their field marketing teams that are hanging up signs to promote their businesses. Okay. And the other half of our customers are concert and event promoters the music industry guys that are using street teams to market their events, and they use our app to track the progress of their street teams as they do work in the field.
So when you say progress, is it more just to make sure that their street team is actually doing work and not just hanging out at the Starbucks?
Yeah, it's accountability, and we use the GPS location from their phones to map where they are as they're doing the work. So you get a map showing you where your team has posted flyers or posters. So it brings
that
transparency.
is huge, because I remember as like a kid, I was in like 7th grade or something. I was like 12.
Yeah.
And my friend's dad owned a restaurant, Chinese restaurant, and he asked us to go put flyers at doors and walk around the neighborhood. And he paid us, I don't know what it was, maybe like $20 or $30, whatever. And I was like, okay. So I started doing it, and I'm going door to door, putting these these Chinese takeout menus out. And I see my buddy, and he comes back, he dumps it in a trash can.
His own dad's restaurant.
And I'm like, this is your dad's restaurant. Do you just take his money and dump his flyers that you paid money for?
That's his business.
I know. And I was like, dude, if this guy is doing it to his own, screwing with his own dad, can you imagine random people you're paying, $8 an hour to go around, put up flyers for you, put up posters or prospects,
exactly.
for anything? Do you really think they're going to be doing their job if you're not tracking them?
Yeah. So that's exactly what it is. It brings accountability to that whole space, and that's where the idea came from. We were doing street teams for our favorite bands and concert venues, and we once we started managing the teams, we'd ask for photos, but it was a pain. So now people can use our mobile app, and those photos go straight to the timeline, and you can see exactly what's happening.
I like that a lot, buddy. That was a great idea. So if anyone that has a company that needs that kind of service, or you just want to check out the site to see what it looks like, it's crewlab.net. If they want to get in touch with you on Twitter,
it's at Vantoai. It's my last name, Vantoai.
Okay, very cool. So if you guys are ever gonna come out to Vietnam, Alan's gonna be having his roots down here for a while.
Yeah, we're set up. So come by and drop us a line.
All right. If you guys want to follow my journey, my blog is johnnyfd.com, and I've been posting almost daily about my experience out here. So far, so good, man. I mean, besides a little rough start,
little mishaps,
every day that I'm here, I like it a little bit more and more. And I think the reason for that is there's so much to do here. So many restaurants, so many cafes. It's like, it really is New York. It really is like the New York City of Asia for a tenth of the price.
Yeah, it's so affordable.
Dude, I even played dodgeball the other day.
How fun is that?
Dude, right?
Yeah.
Dude, thank you for telling us about that.
Absolutely.
Dude, I've been wanting to play dodgeball again since I was 12. I think that was literally the last time I played.
It was the best day of gym class.
Man,
ever,
yeah. I was good at it too. I'm not as good anymore.
Oh, what happened?
I think other people got better and I didn't.
Yeah, some people definitely progressed. I went in. So, you just came out for the first time 2 days ago.
Yeah.
We're playing again tonight, but that was only my third time out. I thought going in that I was going to be the man and super competitive, and I was quickly humbled by some of the guys there, but some of the girls are wingers. They're sneaky, and they can really just, they can hurt.
They can throw it up, yeah. So that's cool that they have that, and it's not. That's actually a group of. What do most people there actually do? Are they teachers or?
So it's actually a group of locals that organize it, but then you have a lot of expats that come in, and you do have a big teacher expat scene here. You have some people that work for other companies, but there's definitely a big teacher expat scene, which is fun. It's cool. We have a couple friends that are part of that group. So. Yeah. And
then now we're kind of slowly going to take over. But I don't know how many entrepreneurs actually actively work out. Or do kind of exercise
of our crew a lot, actually.
Okay.
I think the kind of people that are attracted to our community, just like we're here in Saigon, we have podcasts, and we're doing things like
eating paleo,
eating paleo,
drinking bulletproof coffee,
lifting heavy things and putting them down, kind of thing. So I think you find a lot of people here are they're lifestyle conscious, they're entrepreneurial, and they're health and physically conscious. So
which is really the ultimate. The ultimate combination.
It is. And
a lot of people now are starting to have real good relationships as well. I mean...
Like you.
Yeah, thank you. Amazing girl. Probably the only reason why I'm going to go back to Chiang Mai in a few weeks. Or else I'd probably just hang out here for another couple of months. But we have other people like Shannon Weeks and Alexis Shields who are married, but they're both entrepreneurs out here now. I saw them today. I mean, the last time I hung out with them was about a month ago in Chiang Mai. I didn't even know I was coming to Vietnam. I knew they were coming, but I didn't expect them. I didn't expect them to be like message me yesterday and say, "Hey, I'm in Saigon as well."
And they were on the show before too, right?
Yeah, they're. I don't remember which episodes. I used to give out episode numbers, but I'm always wrong, so I'm gonna stop doing that. But the first episode they're on, probably number 5, is both of them together and talking about their business, how they sold their practice and decided to move out here to do business. Then I had just Shannon Weeks on, and because he did this this adjustment for me, and he basically just fixed my body. And till this day, actually, my back still feels better, and it's been months. So I highly recommend it.
What kind of process was that?
He did something called muscle testing, and it's part of applied kinesiology, which I didn't know anything about. But basically what he did was he would isolate certain individual muscles in my body, and you have hundreds of them. And he would just ask me to push against them, like resistance. And most of the time, I mean, I'm twice as big as him. So most of the time it was pretty easy to push. And so if, let's say he said, he tested my front shoulder, he would put his hand, on my shoulder and say, okay, now push your arm up. Okay. And I'll be able to do it easily. And he would do that with every single muscle in my body. And then what's crazy is there was 2 muscles that I felt like a 5-year-old girl. I had no muscle at all, and I just couldn't resist. And the reason why I knew I was off balance was because my left side or my right side was fine and I was strong, and my other side, exact same muscle, was weak. I had no resistance. And he basically told me it was because, for whatever reason, to not take any more damage, that muscle just turned off. It stopped using itself.
Interesting.
And it makes sense because your body would do that to kind of save itself, to not get hurt anymore. And he just basically massaged it for a while, kind of stretched it out, did a couple of little things here and there, nothing crazy. And he basically turned that muscle back on. And I instantly, and it wasn't just for a while. It's been months now where I feel like my left and right side is more balanced now. I feel like I'm stronger now.
Where was this muscle? On your arm?
There's 2 of them. I think one was near my scapula, and the other one was down here, near my lower back or something.
Sides.
Muscles that you don't really use anyways, so you don't think about it.
So it could turn off and you wouldn't notice for years.
Yeah. The main thing I noticed was when I used to do pull-ups or movements like that, I would overcompensate by having a strong chest or strong arms. So I wouldn't even use my back muscles. And after that, it really made me aware that I have to do these exercises that isolate my scapula, which you never work out. And the only way you work out this scapula area is when you do the pull-up, to pull all the way and then hold it for a second before going back down. So if you're doing really fast pull-ups, or you're kind of you're only going 90% up, you're not working those muscles. And now I know how important it is to work, that last 10%.
What about those wide arm thunderclap type things? Do those do that?
I think if you do those row kind of things, if you hold it at the very end and you feel your shoulder blades stretch, almost touch behind you, and you feel it fire, then it's working.
So you're holding it. So you're doing when you're just
holding do an isolation,
isometric.
Yeah. So that was awesome. And then I had Alexis on again as well because I got my blood test, and I wanted to make sure after eating this crazy high fat paleo bulletproof diet that I was actually healthy. So she ordered lab tests for me at a local doctor, blood tests, cholesterol, all that stuff, and she just spent a whole hour just going over all the results with me, and it really reassured me that
on the show.
Yeah, on the show. Because
awesome.
I'm sure everyone else has the same questions about what their cholesterol numbers should be, how much bacon or eggs or fat they should be eating, if they if really this low carb thing is really that good for you. And I was saying to you earlier that even though I look like I'm in great shape, now I actually feel like I'm in great shape too, versus a year ago before I started eating this way. First, I didn't look like I was in shape because I was 30 pounds of fat extra, but also I didn't have as much energy as I do now. I wasn't everything was lower. So 100%, this way of eating, this lifestyle, of traveling, not having any stress, being around friends all the time, having sun and not being in this freezing cold is awesome. Man.
It was negative 10 degrees when I left the United States 2 weeks ago. Negative 10 degrees.
That's insane, dude.
Insane.
I forget that.
Yeah.
Like, I literally forget that it's cold. It's winter.
Yeah.
I have an employee who sent me a photo of how cold. Like, she's like, "I'm sorry."
Where is she?
She's in like South Carolina or something.
Ooh. Yeah.
And she's like, "Johnny, I'm so sorry. I wasn't able to pick up this call for this customer that called in. A tree fell over him from the storm," and she shows me a picture of her house, like half destroyed, snow coming into it, and I was like, what is this now? Like, what? Like, where in the world are you?
There was a picture on the front page of Reddit a couple of days ago it was captioned, "This is how Atlanta reacts to snow," and it was a picture of a stretch of highway that had it was all white and it had cars scattered all over it, and there's a fire.
I saw that.
There was a fire in the distance.
People don't know how to drive in the snow out there because it doesn't happen that often.
Yeah,
but
it looked like mayhem, like Godzilla.
It did look like it. And man, I mean, the weather out here is perfect.
Yeah,
like it's almost a little tiny bit too hot. But I mean, I'm not gonna complain about that.
Yeah, I mean, we're here in like gym shorts and just living large here, so.
Yeah, you're in your gym shorts. I'm in normal shorts.
Right. No, you got some good looking shorts.
Yeah, we got some t-shirts on.
Casual lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it'd be colder at night.
The nights are nice.
It's perfect.
They're
man.
nice.
So, dude, escape the winter. If it's cold where you are, just leave. Like, just leave, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got $250 a month, just come out here.
Have you ever heard the term snowbirds?
No. What's that?
Snowbirds are like mostly retirees, but they use it to describe people who travel from like the cold states to the warmer states in the winter. So you got the retirees who go to Florida, Arizona, Texas, California, like from the Northeast or the Midwest or the Mid-Atlantic when it gets cold. And I like that lifestyle. I can see that being something I do.
I mean, there's a movie called Endless Summer about these surfers who always wanted summer, always wanted to be able to surf, and that's what they did for like 7 years. They're just like, well, every time it's not surf season, let's just go somewhere that is. Yeah. And I mean, some people like the cold. I mean, like
skiers.
I would like to live in like Colorado, somewhere where I can ski all winter.
It's nice out there.
But I don't want to just be somewhere cold and not be doing any of that.
More than cold versus hot, sunlight, I think, is the big thing. And Colorado, it gets cold, it gets snow, but it's got 350 days of sunlight a year, so you're still going to be happy and having a good time. Yeah, so
I would definitely do that. But out here, man, I like this lifestyle. I like the people we're hanging out with. I mean, we have the coolest like crew coming out here now, and for those who are listening, a lot of you guys are actually starting to show up, and I'm getting messages. I finally made a Facebook page. It's I'll link it to you
just
guys.
Make it?
Yeah, it's Johnny FDK, or I think you can just search for Johnny FD. I'll show up. But that'll be on the show notes as well. Hit me up on there and let me know if you're coming out, and I'll tell you where I am. And I'm excited to see all these people who are actually taking action.
Sure.
And it's it seems like, dude, this
movement.
This really is legit movement, man.
It's a movement that, we were talking about this last night. You and I both came here within the last week and a half. Yeah. And even since we've been here, there have been, I think, in the last 2 weeks, maybe between a dozen to 15 people that have gotten here in the last two weeks. And then if you go we're only 6-7 weeks into 2014 right now. If you go back to January, you think the number of people that have just arrived in Saigon since January, it's a serious movement. It's a influx of entrepreneurs.
Well, I think one of the big reasons is word of mouth, right? Yeah. Everyone that's moving here is talking about, posting about it, and people get excited. But also, a lot of people are wanting to go to Chiang Mai because they heard good things about it. But it took them so long to get their act together that now it's started burning season, and nobody wants to be there.
What's burning season?
So in Chiang Mai, between now, which is mid-February, end of February, and beginning of April, the farmers burn all their fields. So what that does is it creates this smoke all over the city that traps the pollution from all the cars that, for whatever reason, don't have any kind of pollution.
Is that why you're here?
That's why I'm here. I mean that, and also I wanted to hang out with some entrepreneurs who I knew who were going to be out here.
Here we are.
So I'm not going to be in Chiang Mai for all of March. And I think that's also why so many people are showing up now, is because they're leaving Chiang Mai, or they were originally going to go to Chiang Mai, but they decided to come here. But I also have a feeling that in April, after that's all over, a lot of people are going to go back there. So I think the busiest month is going to be this month. Everyone's going to start showing up.
How much does it cost to fly from there to here?
Dude, you can get a direct flight from Chiang Mai to Saigon for $100.
It's so cheap.
So it is awesome, man. Just bounce back and forth. Actually, Larissa, I finally got to talk to my girl the other day after a few days of just like moving around, trying to check in, trying to figure out where I'm living. Mm-hmm. Last night, the first day, we actually had time to sit down and properly have a Skype and talk. And she was like, babe, when are you coming back? And
aww.
She's really nice, where she's supportive of this lifestyle where I'm traveling around, I'm doing business.
But she misses you.
Yeah,
and she wants you to be
there.
there.
But mainly, actually, I found out the reason why she was like trying to figure out the dates was because she's a teacher out in Chiang Mai. She's from South Africa, but she is teaching
Is she Asian?
No, she's a white girl.
Okay.
I joke around that she's black because she's from Africa, but she's
Right.
not. But she has a school holiday because she teaches. And she really wants to go down to the islands. She wants to spend, she's never been to Asia before until now, and she's only been in Chiang Mai. So she wants to go to these white sand beach tropical islands.
Oh, sure.
And she was basically saying, if you're going to be coming back, in March, whatever, I don't even remember her dates, but whatever those dates are, that she's not going to go to the islands, so she can see me in Chiang Mai. And,
why don't you go to the islands with her?
And that's what I said to her. I was like, wait, why don't you just book your tickets, tell me where you're going to be, and I'll meet you there.
Make it a date.
And she was so happy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the thing is, thank God for this lifestyle, because, I can do that.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be a possibility if I had a normal job and I'd be somewhere, or if I was, if I wasn't making enough money where I couldn't afford for the extra flight. Now I'm like, okay, it's $100 to go back to Bangkok or Chiang Mai, and then maybe another $100 to get down to the islands. It's fine. It's not a big deal. I'll make that back in a day.
Yeah,
So.
You make a great point. I think after you start digging into this community, you start to value a lot of people. Like me, when I was in college, I thought of success in terms of one variable, and that was money. The amount of money that I was making would determine if I was successful in my career or not. But once you start to think about that kind of freedom, you start to value two other variables that I now define success by. Along with money, you have time and location freedom. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter if you're making $100K or $250,000 or $1 million a year. If you're working 90-hour weeks and you have to be in your cubicle in New York City or whatever it is, you're actually, how I see it now, like for my own lifestyle, and you'll make your own decisions, but now you have the time and location freedom along with the money, and those are two things that...
And that makes you a rich man.
That makes you, yeah.
It really, man, you know what? Screw your $250,000 a year, working 90 hours a week on Wall Street, stressed out, hating your life, no sun, no exercise, no time for anything except for going out one day a weekend to get smashed.
Yeah.
Screw that lifestyle. I don't want that.
Yeah.
That was the hopes and dreams. I loved Wolf on Wall Street, but I don't want to live that life.
Of course not. Yeah.
I'd rather make $5,000 a month and save half of it to, because I just can't even spend that much money. It's hard to spend more than a couple $1,000s a month living out here.
Yeah.
You really have to try.
Yeah.
Dude, I signed up for the most expensive gym membership in Saigon. I think it's more than most people's rent.
Like $100-some odd bucks a month or something?
Yeah, it's $25 a day.
Yeah.
And... I signed up because that's a lot.
Yeah, because you seem like a kind of...
I'm a very reasonable guy for most things.
Freeway kind of guy. Though.
Yeah. I think what it was is my buddy Anton, he's out here, and he was going to that gym, and he likes the sauna, the spa, the steam room.
Yeah.
And
you're doing it every day, though. You better be.
Well, you know what? I'm going to go right after this, man.
All right, there you go, yeah.
So, he's like, yeah, I'm a member here. And I was like, you know what? I told you 8 months ago, I said, you know what? Teach me how to do this drop shipping business. If I can make enough money from it, I asked him. I was like, hey buddy, do you think I can make $2,000 a month from this? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, no, seriously. Do you think I can make $2,000 a month from this? He's like, dude, yeah. And I was like, I'll tell you this: if the day I start making that, I will follow you to the ends of the earth.
That's like Wolf of Wall Street. Show me a $50,000 pay stub, and I'll quit my job right now.
Yeah, that was me, dude. That was me. And now that I'm making like $5K a month from it, I owe that to him. I was like, dude, why the hell am I complaining I'm spending $150 a month on this gym membership?
You owe it to him to join the spa club.
Yeah, I know, you know?
the ultimate sacrifice.
So, you know, that's why my gym membership is the same amount
Price
of
you
rent.
rent. Yeah, because you're that's a good luxury.
But
here, do the massages. I don't know if you've had some of the massages.
I'm about to get one today, man.
It's like like $5 to $10. It includes like they cracked my back in ways I didn't know it would crack. Right after I got off the flight, it was absolutely incredible. 1 hour, and it was just like $8, $9, and you tip an extra $3. It's quite the luxury. But
and
I'm sure
the thing Thailand's great for that. But the thing is, here's the thing: we can get all this in New York. All right, we can get a massage. We can join a sports club that has
saunas and
saunas and a steam room, and like gives you robes and whatever. Mm-hmm. But it would cost so freaking much out there.
So much money,
And I'm not willing to spend $600 a month to be part of a sports club, so I can work, from 7 to 8, and then go there at night just to like have a cigar and a glass of whiskey while I get a sauna. I'm not, willing to spend $100 an hour on a massage, but if I can have that same lifestyle for a quarter of that cost, why not?
Yeah. There's also like a cultural stress that's in New York. There's a quote from the book Liar's Poker, same guy that wrote Moneyball. Liar's Poker is his memoirs of when he worked at Goldman Sachs. They're Salomon Brothers.
Okay.
Michael Lewis is his name, and he has this quote about in working in banking in New York City, and with their end of year bonus, they take home a total like $200,000 to $300,000 in the year, and he says, weirdly enough, people weren't like their mentality wasn't they're getting rich. They're reaching new levels of relative poverty, was the quote. New levels of relative poverty. Because you're surrounded by a culture of people that are just stressed out and grinding. And even though you could live that, you could get the massage, have the sauna lifestyle, here it's like you're actually living, and like none of us are impoverished. We're all, even though you might be making more money in that Wall Street job, it's the mindset is of new levels of relative poverty, whereas here we're just living the dream and having a great time.
Dude, I'm happy with my $1.50 pho. All right.
Extra beef, extra veggies.
Yeah. All right. I learned how to say that in Vietnamese, but
you can Google Translate.
Yeah, there you go, buddy. All right. So this we're gonna turn into a pumpkin, like my Joe Rogan says, one of my favorite podcasts out there. So let's wrap this up. If people want to get in touch with Alan,
hit me at on Twitter at Vantoai, or you can find my podcast at crewlab.net.
Alright guys, check out the blog johnnyfd.com. Like me, that sounds so weird. Basically keep in touch on Facebook. And check out the show notes for this. It's travellikeabosspodcast.com, and it's episode 23. Thanks so much for listening. Man, those 5-star iTunes reviews are really, really helping out. Spread the word. Tell everyone about this podcast. And take those 2 seconds. I mean, actually it takes 2 minutes because it's annoying, but you have to go to the iTunes app or like the software program, click on store, look for Travel Like a Boss, then write a review. I will thank you so much for it. I'll give you guys some shout outs in the future, and peace out. See you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to the Travel Like a Boss podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends on Facebook and Twitter, and give us a 5-star review at the iTunes store. Take care, and don't forget to check out travellikeabosspodcast.com.